People who grew up with nothing but married into old money. What was the moment you realized you were living in a completely different world? When I married Priya, I knew her family was wealthy. I just didn't know what wealthy actually meant until the first time I walked into her grandfather Ravi's house and noticed there were no price tags on anything. Not because things were cheap, because nobody who lived there had ever needed to think about a price. The house wasn't loud about what it was. No gold fixtures, no marble fountain, just space. Endless, quiet space. Rooms that existed for no reason other than they could. I grew up in an apartment where my parents slept on a pull-out couch so my sister and I could have the bedroom. I stood in Ravi's hallway and felt something I couldn't name for a long time. Later I figured out what it was. I felt the weight of how small I had always lived. Ravi himself was impossible to read. Mid-80s, said almost nothing at dinner, ate slowly, watched everything. The family orbited him the way planets orbit something they're afraid to get too close to. His son Vikram, Priya's uncle, laughed 3 seconds after whatever Ravi said, every single time. Like he was waiting to confirm it was a joke before committing. His daughter refilled Ravi's water glass before he touched it, twice. Nobody at that table was eating. They were auditioning. I mostly stayed quiet. I didn't know the references, didn't know the family history, didn't know which cousin had the bad divorce or which business deal had almost collapsed the whole structure 2 decades ago. I was the guy who had worked night shifts at a packaging warehouse to pay for his first year of college, sitting between people arguing about whether the Maldives trip should be in March or April. After dinner, everyone drifted toward the sitting room. I wandered the other way and found a smaller room off the back corridor. Floor-to-ceiling shelves, old books, a single lamp. Ravi was already in there, sitting in a chair like he'd been waiting for someone who wasn't in the sitting room either. He asked where I'd worked before I met Priya. I told him honestly. Warehouse nights, then a call center, then a data entry job I hated, and slowly, a career in logistics that I'd built piece by piece. He didn't say anything for a moment. Then he asked what my father did. I said my father drove a municipal bus for 31 years. Same route, different weather. He asked if my father liked it. I said I think he liked that it was his, and it was steady, and he got home in time for dinner. Ravi looked at the window for a while after that. He didn't say much more that night, but the next time there was a family gathering, he found me in the kitchen and asked which cricket season I thought was the last genuinely great one. We argued about it for 40 minutes. His family watched from the doorway like they were seeing something they didn't have a category for. It went on like that. Every visit, a conversation that had nothing to do with the family business, the estate, the trusts, or who was managing what. He told me once, between bites of something I couldn't identify, that his grandchildren visited him the way people visit the bank. Polite, purposeful, gone within the hour. Then Priya got a call from her mother. Ravi wanted everyone at the house. Important. Come Sunday. The energy in that house on Sunday was the kind you could physically feel. Vikram had brought a bottle of something with a label I couldn't read that probably cost more than my first car. 2 cousins kept gravitating toward Ravi and then drifting away, like they couldn't decide whether sitting close made them look eager or loyal. Priya's mother had dressed like it was a formal occasion. Everyone was performing a version of themselves they thought Ravi wanted to see. Lunch was long. The conversation was careful. People talked about the business with the particular seriousness of people who are actually talking about themselves. At some point, there was a toast. Vikram gave it. It involved the word legacy 4 times. Near the end, Ravi set down his glass and looked at me from across the table. The table went quiet the way it only goes quiet when the person who controls the room does something unexpected. He asked me what I honestly thought of his family. Priya's hand found my arm under the table. I could feel her not breathing. I looked at everyone trying so hard, and I was just tired of the performance. So I said, I think they love what you built more than they love you. And I think somewhere underneath all of this, you already know that. And it's been lonely for a very long time. Nobody moved. Vikram's glass was halfway to his mouth and stayed there. One of the cousins made a sound that wasn't quite a word. Priya had stopped pretending to breathe entirely. Ravi looked at me for a long time. Not angry. Something else. Like a man who had been waiting for someone to say a thing out loud and had almost stopped believing anyone would. He nodded slowly. Then he said, and you, what do you love? I said, your granddaughter. And these conversations. That's honestly all I came here for. The rest of lunch was the quietest meal I've ever sat through. 3 weeks later, Ravi's lawyer called Priya. There was an account set up in her name, separate from everything else in the estate, untouched by the family structure, and a letter addressed to me in an envelope with just my first name on the front in Ravi's handwriting. It said, my father built this from a bicycle repair stall. He ate the same meal 4 nights a week so I could have a better start. I have spent 60 years being treated like a monument. You are the first person since him who talked to me like I was just a man. Don't lose that. It's rarer than anything I ever earned.